Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jacob Rudner here alongside Noah Cameras, and welcome to this week's episode of dTSPN. So, March Madness, it's been super interesting this year. We've had a lot of upsets, big teams losing to small teams, big teams winning, and now we're kind of left with that storybook Final Four, 1s and 2s, and a 10. We have Syracuse, Buddy Hield's Oklahoma, UNC, and Villanova. And who do you got winning right now?
Well, right now I have Oklahoma taking it all behind Buddy Hield. I think his scoring ability is better than anyone in college basketball, and the team around him is feeding off of him, but they are good enough to play without him if he gets in foul trouble, but with him, they're a totally different team.
So, but that also brings to the next question: is if Buddy Hield is playing at the level he's playing at right now, and he's been an outstanding scorer, and he's really led his team to victories. I mean, you could go and look back at some of their wins and say that he has single-handedly won some games. So, does that rise him up in the draft stock, or does it keep him where he is, or where do you think he's going to go?
I think some team will take him too early. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but he's young. And I don't know if he's totally NBA ready yet. I think he'll end up going top 5 or top 7, but I don't think he should. I think he's definitely a lottery pick, which is top 14. I definitely see him going there, but I don't know if he should be top 5, but I think someone will take him a little too early.
Do you think he could sneak into that top 3 picks?
I don't think he'll sneak into the top 3 picks. I think it's an obvious Simmons, Ingram, and maybe Dragon Bender in the top 3. I don't see Buddy Hield sneaking in unless something big happens with Dragon Benders, something comes out, no team wants to take him, but I don't see him sneaking into the top 3.
And for those of you who don't know who Dragon Bender is, he is not in NCAA basketball right now. He's coming out of the Israeli Basketball League. He plays for Maccabi Tel Aviv right now. He's a power forward, and he is 7'1". So the kid can shoot threes, he can do a lot of stuff, but really, should we be taking somebody who's less of a risk, who we've seen play in college basketball where we know that they have talent and competition? So is that, for any basketball player playing college basketball, should they take precedent over somebody who's playing internationally?
It depends. I mean, it happened this year when they took Kristaps Porzingis 4th, and look what he turned into. He turned into a great player. So you never know. I mean, that's why it's a draft. It's risky. You got to take some risks. Porzingis was a risk. He turned out well. I think that would be the same with Dragon Bender.
So moving back earlier into March Madness, we have a lot of upsets. We had Michigan State losing early, and I really think that was a huge loss because a lot of people had them winning in their brackets, and they really were a top contender to win this tournament. What do you think went wrong with them?
I just think they came in a little over cocky. They kind of looked ahead to the next round too far. And in March Madness, you cannot ever look ahead to the next round. I mean, maybe a 1 seed can do it, but once you get to the 2 seeds, you can never look ahead. And the problem for Michigan State, the main problem for Denzel Valentine is that he did not get to show off his talents more, which really could hurt his draft stock because people were expecting to see him for at least 3 rounds, maybe 4, maybe even all the way, which would really help the scouts identify who he is as a player.
But, really, if you think about it, I don't know that it actually does hurt his draft stock because I don't think that the tournament is a one-player game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it requires a team to play, and when your team loses a big game like that, it's not on one person. I mean, he is their biggest name on that team right now, and it may have hurt him as a person a little bit, but we can also look back at that fantastic season he had before the tournament. So do you really think that even with the fantastic season he had and maybe that one bad game during the tournament, does that actually hurt him though?
Maybe it didn't hurt him, but I think it would have helped him to have had another 4 games in the season to show his draft stock a little more, show what he's worth. I mean, he's been amazing this year, triple-double machine. I mean, he's done everything for Michigan State, and when he was out, they did struggle, so it shows what kind of player he is. I just think it would have helped him to have had an extra 4 or 5 games to at least show the scouts what he can do.
But do you think that could be an unfair advantage or disadvantage to certain players because you have people like Buddy Hield who have had a fantastic season, so did Denzel Valentine, but Buddy Hield got to show off more in the tournament, and now Denzel Valentine's out of it.
I just think that Buddy Hield, he's had a great tournament. Maybe Denzel Valentine would have had just as good as a one, but Buddy Hield had the opportunity to play more games. But it's not an advantage because his team played better than Michigan State did.
Fair enough. So moving on to the NBA, we've had some great action over the past few weeks. We've had the Golden State Warriors. They're edging close to a record-breaking season, going for a record of better than 72-10. 73-9 would break the record. And we also have the Spurs, who have had a fantastic season, who are also going for a record-breaking season, but we obviously have the Warriors who are going to edge out that record if they can end up getting it. What do you think about the NBA so far?
It's been exciting to see the Warriors and the Spurs, and then maybe the next good teams are Thunder, Cavs, Clippers, and Raptors. But besides those 6 teams, the rest of the NBA is very, very average. So I think the playoffs are going to be pretty set in stone with the top 6 teams moving on. It'll be Cavs, Raptors, Eastern Conference Finals. The West will probably be Spurs, Warriors. And I mean, so it's nice with those top 6 teams, but the rest is pretty average. And we actually do have 2 more matchups of Warriors versus Spurs this year. We don't know what's going to happen. It seems like the Spurs are just going to rest their players, so it seems like it'll be 2 easy wins for the Warriors, which is why I think the Warriors are going to win it. Are going to break the record. Do you think they'll break the record?
I mean, I think that they're going to break the record in the end, but it does really come down to whether or not they want to break it. Are they going to rest their players, or are they going to come out swinging to really try and break it? Now, I mean, it really comes down to, are you going to be a championship team? Because, I mean, you're going to be forgotten. I mean, as a championship team, you don't remember who won the championship 16 years ago. But if they're going to go 73-9 this season, that record is going to be a record remembered forever. Because winning a record and beating a record with that kind of season, that goes on to live as a legacy. So it really comes down to, are they going to want to beat it, or are they going to want to keep their players healthy? So in my opinion, yes, they are going to take this one, because I think that it is important to them, and they do see the fact that if they do end up breaking it, they're going to leave a legacy of all the guys on that team.
Yeah, so lastly, we're going to talk about D'Angelo Russell. So there was a big story. He ended up filming his teammate Nick Young talking about how he cheated on Iggy Azalea. So this has really stirred something. All the Lakers players are now isolating him. Now, do you think this is just like a move because he's young, he just made a mistake, or do you think that like since it's going to happen, it's going to turn into something big, or they'll just let this rift off soon?
Honestly, I don't see this one rifting off, and the reason I don't see it happening is because D'Angelo Russell has had these small social issues for this entire season. It's not like it's a new issue, and this one has just been more big than all the other ones have been, and it's much more easy to see because it was clearly a big issue with a lot of the players. So, I mean, if you really look at it, I don't see him getting the trust or the forgiveness from the team that he doesn't even deserve, in my opinion, because, I mean, he's 19 years old. I agree that he's young and he may be immature, but he's had these issues for the entire season. He's playing professional ball, okay? He's 19 years old, but even though he's young, he's playing a professional sport. You need to act like a professional, and he has not done that. So, no, I do not see this one blowing over easily.
And I think this is really, really sad for Nick Young because D'Angelo Russell is the future for the Lakers, so they are not going to get rid of him. But Nick Young's not going to want to play on this team anymore. So Nick Young's going to lose his wife probably. He's going to lose his job. And I mean, I feel bad for him because he did nothing wrong. I mean, yes, he cheated on Iggy Azalea, but that should not have come out. And even though like he should not have done it, that should not have come out. And D'Angelo Russell made a huge mistake. Hopefully he gains the trust back of the Lakers because they do need him. But he really made a big mistake.
But that's the problem is I see that this is going to affect on the court too. I think that people don't trust him anymore, and that's really a problem. So if people are going to come out not trusting one of your future players that is going to come out and everybody is saying that this guy's going to be the one that makes or breaks your team in the future and nobody trusts him, that's a huge issue. Because it's not like now, not only does the team that he's on now not trust him, but just think in 3 or 4 years, everybody's heard about this. So all the guys that are going to come in next year and the year after that and the year after that, they all know what this guy did. So are your rookies even going to trust him? So if he really is the future and the future leader of this next squad, I don't see people coming out and trusting him because he cannot lead a team that does not trust him.
Yeah, I agree.
So that does wrap up this week's episode of dTSPN. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, and make sure to tune in later this week for a second episode about the MLB offseason. Thanks so much, and have a great week.